Some viewers may find this content disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Sir Brian Bowden, this must mean once again it is midnight lycanthropy time here on StarFox Radio. And, well, again, a regional director from the North American Dogman Project is here. Yet please allow me to feast. And much, much better. Sometimes the urges to feed become overwhelming. Yet now that I feel ready and revamped, it is time for Brian Bowden and myself to take a walk into the darkness. My creatures of the night, yes, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on Star Fox Radio. My co-host tonight is a member of the North American Dogman Project that is pretty high up in the ranking system. Exciting, eh? Yes, sir, Brian Bowden. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
I'm doing good, Kenny. I'm doing good. I thank you very much for having on the show, and I appreciate it. And yeah, I guess I'm a little high up. I'm a Region 5 director. Um, that's basically the Dirty South. It goes pretty much up to where Region 3 starts and a couple other little areas there. I've been doing that for a while. I started the founder and director of New York State Dogman Project as well. So we've been doing this for a while. I actually got into the NADP years ago when they didn't have a New York State director, and I volunteered myself. And then I drafted my brother from another mother, Al Santariga, who happens to now be in Region 3, and we were kind of sharing that a little bit because I'm East Coastal. So right now I'm in the New York area until about August, and then I go back down to Florida, and I spend most of the year down there. That I moved down there, so I'm just doing a whole bunch of different areas. But I very much take an interest in all sightings, no matter what the region or country.
That is great. I love it. And you are taking care of a lot of stuff here. And that's pretty cool how you're bouncing around. And correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe when I was recruited by Shannon and Jody, I think you were running the Northeast with Lee, I believe it was at the point in time, or maybe it was you. I think that I first saw as the group person. So, yes, I remember that.
So there was a reorg. Um, Jody did a reorg, and Shane, and they were talking, and they offer. I was covering a lot of different spots because you can. I mean, it can be a difficult position because there's not only regional directors, but there are individual state directors. And I was helping out, and I was kind of doing New York. We kind of do New York Metro, so I will do New York, New Jersey, Maryland, um, parts of PA, and then I go into Connecticut, Massachusetts, and I got Maine blood in me, so I'll go up to Maine. So whatever there was help, and then they offered me Region 5 because they kind of put Al there up by you, in that whole region. I think that's Region 3 if I'm correct. And they said, well, you're kind of not living there. I said, well, yes, I am. I mean, I am and I'm not. I mean, part of the year I am, part of the year I'm down in the South. So I will go wherever they need me. I'm going to investigate it either way.
So to my audience, do
Yes, sir.
please understand that regional directors, they are super busy. So even though their emails are up on the website and they might not directly get back to you, well, as Brian just stated, this is definitely a reason as to why. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on. I do get the emails directly and I try to make sure I respond as quick as possible, but I'm also a state rep. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Right.
I have a ton of stuff I'm doing, outside of just researching in regards. I mean, I'm doing the website with Jody. And so,
Right.
yeah, I'm researching, working my own content, helping the North American Dogman Project as much as possible. But we will get back to everybody. It's just, unfortunately, yes, we have a ton of stuff from revamping, but also do realize individuals have lives outside as well. So it is something
Yeah.
that happens.
And that's part of, like, some of the issues and problems. I investigate everything. So we'll do the paranormal. I'll do cryptids. I investigated all UFOs, whatever you want to call it. Research, invest it. I'm boots on the ground. So I'm going to places. I am traveling. I have a family. Um, I have a business. We do screen printing and branding. We do, all that swag stuff. Plus, I do readings for people, and remote viewing. And there's a lot going on. If you looked at how many emails I have that I have yet to see, they go into the hundreds of thousands. A lot of which is junk, but there are some significant ones in there, and I try to check it. But the people that know me, text me. If you have my number, text me. And you're killing it. I mean, you're really doing a kick-ass job. You you have talent, skill, ability, and you're really doing great work. And I appreciate you. I know Shane and Jody do, and everybody else does. So keep doing what you're doing.
Very kind words, friend, and I totally appreciate that. I feel the same way back to you, which is why, I mean, I know you're a busy guy, but I'm always trying to blow your inbox up with either saying hello or sending you something I figure because I know your sense of humor that you'll get a kick out of. So, no, I
Yeah,
appreciate all that, man, and I do consider you a valuable asset as well. And it's
I
just good for
appreciate that.
people to just understand that, yeah, people are grinding away and such, and we will, get back to you. And I can relate to the email aspect when I was helping Jody get caught up after the original individual that was taking care of some of that stuff stepped down. And I believe, oh man, it was like 588 plus that I had to go
Yeah,
through. And like you said, a lot of it, I shouldn't say a lot of it, but a little less than half is stuff just like social media things. But then you got people actually reaching out and etc. And they're like, why haven't you answered back? And we're all caught up now and such. But I just wanted to let the audience know that yes, everyone
yeah,
will
we're
get back to you. And yeah,
yeah we're doing the best we can. I mean, when you report something, or so we have people that report to, I had a Dogman sighting. I saw a werewolf, whatever they say. And then you have people asking you questions like, well, is it a club or is it a real member? Or it's like, um, I've got some other stuff that's deadline, so you're gonna have to wait, and we will get back to you. There's not only region directors, there's individual state directors, there's investigators. We're really reorganizing to be more sleek and fluid, and streamlined so that we can respond properly. Because, as you know, and when you have an encounter with this cryptid, when I first heard about it, I was like, I really hope this isn't real. I think we jumped the shark on this. And then you research it, and then you get phone calls from people in hidden numbers, and then you have your own experiences with them. They're real. It is unnerving for people who can't wrap their mind around what they're seeing.
Yeah, 100%. And it is super slippery slope to be able to differentiate whether someone, yeah, truly is traumatized or also is trying to have that wiggle room where they can control the narrative, like you said. Yeah, it's hard, but it's also a part of what we do to try to be able to figure out what's occurring with all that stuff. So, do you want to
Yep.
potentially? I've never had any sort of paranormal encounters and such, so like I'm
Ah,
just a journalist trying to figure out what the heck is going on. But
oh,
you
you
said
will
you've
be.
had some paranormal and Dogman type encounters. If you would
Oh,
like to
yeah,
elaborate,
sure.
that'd be, yeah.
I mean, paranormal encounters are ghosts and not like hauntings, but have to clean homes. And I don't deal with demonic stuff. Way above my pay grade. And in certain instances, you can bring something home with you if you're open to it. And you don't have to necessarily say, "Hey, come in." Like you don't have to invite it in. It's just if you're suffering from, you're pissed off or you're depressed or you're sick, your shield that protects you, or your shield, your energy, your chi, whatever you want to call it, has cracks in it, and you can sometimes take things home, and you're unaware of it. And a lot of times people are like, "Wow, I'm always fighting with this person, and this happened." Ever since that investigation, you very well may have an attachment, and you have to go cleanse yourself. And you have to go do some praying and use water and sage and Palo Santo, and there's a whole different regimens you can put together on that. But I've had um, up close and personal encounters with Bigfoot, 6 inches from my physical body. I had a great Dogman encounter. I was doing an investigation in New York State. This is the one that someone tried to liberate, but I had enough people at a conference to tell me that someone's taking your story.
I remember
And
that, man. Yeah,
yeah,
keep going.
my partner in crime, Al, listens to every freaking show on Dogman. I mean, he's heard them all. I just don't have the time to listen to every episode of a Dogman encounter or whatever. I need, give me some of the facts. If it's something interesting and intriguing, I will definitely go into it and listen to it. But we did an investigation, day night investigation of a cemetery at in Thales, New York, and this is on a 28 or 29,000 square acres of property. It used to be an institution basically for the unwanted, abortion, bastard children, deformities, yada yada. And they didn't, and the medical staff there didn't treat them well. And some people passed away, so they used to just dump the bodies in a mass grave. And it was discovered at the tail end of the property. We went there, we investigated. My buddy he's all, I'm there in paranormal mode, ghosts, EVPs, that type of stuff. And we heard these big dogs barking. And he's a little bit more of a dogman esque thing. Like he's getting a dogman vibe. And I'm like, no, I'm sticking to paranormal. But while we were around the cemetery, we saw some odd things, which are classic dogmen. We went down a path like we were being led down this, and it opens up. And what you have is um, the dogmen like to rip trees out whole with the roots. And then they flip them upside down and they kind of suspend them up in the air like an umbrella, and they hold it up with other trees like an umbrella. It's the most unusual structure you would see. It's very quintessential that Dogman cryptid, and it's pretty impressive. It's unnerving, which is different from like a Bigfoot type of stick structure or tree structure where they'll lean them over and they'll crisscross like a teepee, or they'll intertwine them and they'll do stars. Dogmen are like in your face. They're like they're like the gangster rappers of the cryptid world. It's not a joke. And so we got that vibe. We got a nice size glyph via trees, and we stayed there for most of the night. It kind of got a little bit colder and weird. And as we left the cemetery, I had to go to the bathroom. I didn't want to urinate at the cemetery because out of disrespect, that would be disrespectful.
Yes.
So we're walking back to my buddy Al's car, and probably parked a quarter mile away under this like one light, very Maine-esque, like someone took a trash can and put a light bulb underneath it. You see them every once in a while. It's an old school way of making the street lamp by like what looks like an athletic path. And as I'm walking there, I'm on the passenger side. We see this really nice yellow eye shine. And like, what is that? Is that, something sitting there, something's there. So I have a machete. When we go in New York State, I don't have any firearms on me because I don't have a license up here. But I have a machete in the front, one in the back, and one on the side. Plus, I have I guess, a big, survival knife just in case. We do have bear. We do have big lion type of thing, big cats. So you got to just be prepared. And this is like a country road, 2 lanes. So we're walking back and we see it. And Al starts putting his stuff in the back of the car. And as I get closer, I open the door to the car and I'm on a 3-foot grade, right? He parked as far over to the right as he could. When I got out of the car, I almost fell down this 3-foot grade. It's 3 feet, deep. So I'm standing there and this creature is sitting on its haunches. And it kind of looks quintessential. It's in the shadow. It's no more than probably 15 feet from me. And you can see the pointy ears, the big head. I mean, the head was huge. Had to be like almost 3 feet wide, sitting there in a little bit of the snout. And it's just sitting like a dog. Now, I know canines. I grew up in a world of canines. My parents used to do dog shows, so I've seen every canine there ever was or ever is, from puppies to adults. The Lindeberger is sitting down is almost easily close to 4.5 feet tall, if not more. It's a big dog, and at 6 months, the big dog. So when that dog stands up, it's going to be closer to 8 feet tall, right? It's going to be it's going to stretch out, and it's, if it stood on its hind legs. So I'm standing there, and I'm urinating and putting my bag in the car, whatever. And this thing is just staring there, and Al's screaming, "Get in the car, Bri, get in the car." Al. And I'm like, I gotta pee. I'm peeing. And it's like Austin Powers type of pee. It's like I'm just going and going and going. And this thing is standing there and I'm peeing literally in front of it. And it's no more than 15 feet from me in the shadows. And I know enough that me peeing in front of it, being canine, that's how you in that world, that's how the alpha, dictates who's the boss. So they'll urinate on top of your urine saying, "I'm marking it. That's mine. You're mine." Okay. That's how they operate. So right now I'm peeing in front of something that's massive, sitting down on its haunches. And to give you an idea, everything's going all right. And Al's screaming, "Get in the car. I'm going to leave you." Like, dude, you're not going to leave me. Not going to happen, buddy. You don't want to deal with the other half. And I'm going, and I know right now that me peeing in front of this thing, which looks like a dog in the distance, like in the shadows, I'm telling that dog, "You're my, I'm the boss," right? And I'm standing on the 3-foot grade. I am 6 feet 1 inches tall, so that makes me 9 feet 1 inches tall. Okay, and where this thing is standing, its snout is coming right up to about my mouth area. So I know that if this thing were to stand up, it would be probably 10 feet tall or more. That's how big this thing is. Okay. And after a while, this thing slowly, as I'm, finishing up, it lowers itself in one fluid motion and disappears in the shadow. Once it does that, I get the goose pimples. And that is a telltale sign for me on investigations. Something's going to happen. Now, on investigation, it could be ghost activity, spirit activity, craft coming in, cryptids coming in like Bigfoot. And I'm like, it's time to go. He disappears in the shadows. I hop in the car. Al spins around like Mario Andretti, right? And then the next thing I know, where I'm looking out the back rear view, because this thing could have easily, if it wanted to, just jumped and lunged right at me. And I don't know if I scared it off or it was like, oh, you think I'm your, let's find out. And it lowered itself and disappeared. I think it was going to crawl, sneak around and come from the side type of position. So knowing that, it's, after the fact, I wasn't peeing because I was scared. I was peeing because I was just urinating. I mean, it was cold. It's like November. We're doing this investigation. It gets cold out there, right? That's one instance of that. I saw enough of it. I saw the amber eyes. They're huge. I didn't see fangs. I just saw everything that would be a quintessential, like almost like a soldier type. Um, Kind of like the Van Helsing thing, bigger ears though. But I've seen other things. Actually, I was in, again, another instance where it was Dogman-esque. I was staying in Maryland, Elkington, Maryland. My cousin has a house there. We're coming down for Thanksgiving, and we stayed at the same hotel. And I went to the side to smoke a cigarette. And when you go to the side, there's woods there, and it's really interesting. The woods have like an arch in them in the center, like something big went through there and made this gaming trail. And I'm there, I'm hanging out, smoking a cigarette. I'm seeing some weird things. I'm seeing some bright yellow, big, what looks like eyes, but it could very well be the train trellis because it's in a little bit past those woods. Is you can see the trains that go by. So I just go, let me see. And I type in on my phone, werewolf sightings, Maryland. And wouldn't you know it? Basically, around the corner from where this place is, this hotel is, there was a couple driving back on the back road, and they came across this animal and something that looked like a big dog chewing on it, and then the thing stood up, and it scared the hell out of them. And then the report is basically a werewolf. They literally said we saw a werewolf, and it was menacing, and these big eyes and big fangs. And when they looked at it, something characteristic of being an encounter with dogmen, a lot of times, if they feel like the dogman actually went into their body, like was in their mind, their consciousness, and they had nightmares for weeks thereafter. So this hotel is like through the woods. Like if you took a nice little walk through the woods, maybe 300 yards, 400 yards, you would get to where this sighting was. So I'm staying out there. Now I start hearing something approaching me forward slowly, and the two amber, things are now moving. So they're getting bigger. So I'm like, okay, this is not the train trellis. This is something big. And as this was happening, I also heard to the right of me that like something was coming around to the right. And again, I got the goose flesh. I literally was a target at that night. Outside on the side of this hotel, by the woods, these two were creeping up and like coming for me. And I don't get unnerved too quickly at all. This unnerved me enough that I went inside the hotel, went to our room on the first floor, and I told my other half, "Hey, don't go out there. There's like some animals." And I said, "Go to the front to smoke," because this was headed my way. Now, one of the things I learned later on as an investigator, why it was coming at me. One, I'm a solo target, right? No one's around, pretty dark. No one's going to see or hear me. Two, they were attracted to what I was doing, and that is smoking. And it's a little known fact, but a lot of people that have dogman encounters usually are smokers. And they're smoking around a fire pit, they're walking the dog and smoking, they're attracted to the smoke. And they're attracted to, I guess, maybe the nicotine in there or the tobacco. I don't know what the full explanation is. I haven't had an opportunity to discuss it with a dog man. But that was just two of the two simple ones. Um, it's not my favorite cryptid. It's an unnerving type of creature, and I'd rather go up against a rabid Bigfoot than the dog.
That is some straight up nightmare fuel right there, as I'm just processing how things unfolded, and yikes.
Well, yeah,
May I
it's
ask what year those both happened, or is that okay?
okay. So the cemetery was near, like, I want to say 2016, 17, I think.
Excellent.
And the Thanksgiving thing was more towards the 18 or 19.
I haven't had a chance to document that from you, so I just want to make sure to be able to put that in with what I'm
Oh
working
yeah,
on
I
and
mean,
just
like,
get it in
I
the
have it.
system. So,
I gave you a Cliff Notes version of it.
no,
I
that's
do have other
perfect, my friend.
observations. Actually, I did a show. There's a guy that really was the grandfather of this stuff. Vic had me on a show talking about it. I said, You sure you want to? He goes, well, there's things there because he vets his own people. But through doing tons of research on this thing, and I mean, some of I didn't go back in the woods the next day, but um, I did see, like, certain breaks in trees that looked fresh, and I didn't have the capability of casting anything or really investigating. I was doing Thanksgiving. Um, but another guy actually contacted me from Maryland that his daughter was she used to run. She was a jogger, and she's getting, paced with this thing. Something's pacing her. And she said it sounded like almost like a grunt or a growl, like a dog. So she kind of got fearful and ran in a different direction and kind of got rid of it. But that gentleman out of Maryland was contacting me. Never got a chance to hook up with him though.
Dang, that is some pretty gnarly stuff right there. Thanks for
Yeah.
elaborating on that for
Well,
sure.
I used to go up to Maine a lot. We had family in Portland. My dad loved it up there, and it's nice. Don't get me wrong. I like Maine. It's If you like outdoorsy stuff, it's great. It's not much for kids that don't do outdoorsy stuff. But we
Yes.
would stay in these little cabins. We'd rent these cabins, and it's off of Route One and Main Idle. It's off of Route One outside of Freeport a little bit before Brunswick. And I remember staying in this one cabin, and when you're being watched by something, especially if you have extra spidey senses, something was in the woods. Something was watching, and I used to go outside and smoke. You could smoke in the cabin if you want, but it was just a nice one-room cabin with a little kitchenette and then a bathroom. There was something in the woods by that cabin. I don't know what it was. Um, One time I saw red eyes. One time I saw yellow eyes, and this is well before the Dogman stuff. But looking back on it, it very well could have been. There was that animal up in Lewiston, that um, black animal looked pretty nasty. Um, some people were trying to call it like a werewolf or something like that. Looked like a chow mixed with like a black chow.
So, because I spoke to a ton of those people up there, they definitely
Yep.
saw something that they described to be not what was presented to them by the local officials. That apparently to the locals was a stray dog that lived around the area that the officials were trying to put as the narrative. But they and some of the
Right.
people I spoke to directly said that they saw something that looked straight up out of a horror movie. It was not that poor dog is what they had said. That was just a local stray beast. I mean, I'm sure it
Right.
could have been stealing people's chicken still to eat on it, but that's definitely, from what I understand from the locals up in that area, definitely not what
Well,
was doing that.
so you're never going to get a true report of this creature, Dogman, by any authority. You're never going to get It's validated by any person or authority, not only Dogman but Bigfoot. And usually, when you have a Dogman in the area, there's usually some kind of barrier, and then you have a Bigfoot. So in some cases, you'll have Bigfoot on one side of the river and Dogman on the other. They kind of go hand in hand. And like you stay on your side of the tracks, I'll stay on my side of the tracks. Now, there was an incident. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. They shut down basically a 15-mile radius in Colorado. There were reports of people being mutilated, and they said, "Oh, it was a bear," but the military came in and they shut down this whole national park out there from this incident. But why do you bring the military into a national park? And why do you need I think it was a 15 or 20-mile perimeter? That's suspect.
No, 100% is. That's
Yeah.
that's a valid question for sure. And I've actually fielded some of those reports where people say that they've just, come across full decked out squads of individuals. And then when asking them what they're doing, they respond with the same thing you're doing and then just move on
Right.
if they even say anything. So, yeah.
Right. That's if they say anything, but you got to understand why no one's going to validate Bigfoot's alive or the Dogman, right? Well, let's take the state of Maine, for example, because you know it well, or anything in Pacific Northwest, whatever it is. There's a lot of these national parks there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Arcadia and what have you. And what is one of the big industries of Maine? Logging, right?
Yes.
Billions of dollars. Tourism is billions upon billions of dollars. If you declare Bigfoot alive and real, and you include Dogman in that, then you have to preserve their areas, right? You can't do any logging. People can't do the national parks. So they're losing hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue. And the
Can't
bottom
do that,
line is,
right?
right? No, the bottom line is money talks, right? So they're not going to do that. But they do have, I was contacted by somebody that was in the military. They do have special groups, teams, forces, whatever you want to call it. And when they get sightings of these things around bases, which they do often, their job is to do the perimeter and take out whatever's there. And one person who would not give me their name, calling from the caller ID was insane. It was all zeros. He said, "They're real. My job is to eliminate them, capture them if I can, but eliminate them and protect our bases and infrastructure." And that's what they do, you know. So it's pretty interesting. It's an intriguing thing. So you've never seen any type of cryptid.
Well, first to respond to what you were saying, I know it is
Sure.
super creepy and intriguing. And now to answer your question, no, sir, I have never had any sort of paranormal or cryptid type experience. I'm just an individual that is interested into what has
Right.
been occurring throughout history and also currently with missing people and reports and etc. So I try to approach it like Les Stroud. I'm a big fan of how he did his Bigfoot stuff in regards of
Right.
keeping an open mind, but also not just jumping on everything that's thrown his way. And that's just really how I try to approach the Dogman. I think it's okay to be a healthy skeptic and ask healthy skeptical questions and just really try to figure out what's going on and present quality facts and just quality encounters and speak to people such as yourself and not just take an email and be able to validate that without ever
Right.
sitting down with the individuals and such.
Well, it's a treat. So if you ever get a chance, go try to find one. Trust me when I tell you that you would rather see a Bigfoot and have an encounter with a Bigfoot than this dog. I've heard plenty of stories. They're very aggressive. They don't always attack you, but they're very menacing. And there's some really wild stories that I've heard from people. Like, I put my hand down its throat. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. It's very easy to play Monday morning quarterback, right? Armchair quarterback. I
Yes.
would have done this. No, you wouldn't have. No. No, because when you have this experience and you see 10 to 12 foot werewolves, um, it's not going to happen. You're not going to be like, well, I would have charged right at it. No, you wouldn't have.
I mean, with
It,
anything, like let's see somebody do that with a polar bear or just, a tiger
you'd,
or
you'd be in a
yes.
second. Yeah,
So, I mean, I know we need to get you back to what you were doing, and I appreciate you definitely
no
popping
problem.
on tonight and such. It was really great to pick your mind and really hear your thoughts on things. And yeah, just before we let you go, I mean, people are just really ridiculous with some of the ways they approach things. Because as you were stating, it's just anything. I mean, we all think we're tough and big and bad and bang bang on the chest, but I mean, just to put it into perspective, okay, like I said, I have a pet squirrel. She's awesome, but man, she gets angry sometimes and she's a menace to deal with if she's ticked off and she weighs like what, 2 pounds, okay? And I mean,
Oh my
just
God,
everyone,
yes.
yeah, everyone's picture a house cat. We all love our kitties, right? But has anyone seen a ticked off house cat? I mean, imagine
Oh,
now
I have.
try dealing with something like a mountain lion or a Siberian tiger. No, no, thank you. No one's gonna stand there and encourage an interaction like that. Hey, kitty, come here. No, I mean, it doesn't
I,
work
I
like
mean,
that.
exactly. And it's not only that, but I'll give you one more thing. Before coming back to New York, I did an investigation in western Florida. And in the campsite I was in, we had some activity. Um, I discovered, and they were older prints, I discovered 25-inch footprints, left and a right, 25 inches. I'm a size 12. It's double my foot. So I would say it's closer to 12 feet. That's a 12-footer. That's how tall this thing was, how big this was. And then you're talking well over 1,000, maybe even closer to 2,000 pounds of pure muscle. You're not running. You're not running at that. You're just not. I mean, I'm not much scares me. Like I said, unless the doctor goes, it's a girl, because I don't need any more of them. But you know, 7, 8, 9 foot, you're not. I mean, I knew Daryl Dawkins, the Chocolate Thunder, and he was 7 feet tall. He was huge. It was like when Daryl would get out of a car and stretch, it looked like he was going to take the sun and pull it down. I mean, that's how big this man was. So just picture something bigger than him. Not going to happen.
Preach, my friend. That's really what
Well, it's
people need to
just the
understand.
truth.
So, very
And
valid.
yeah, be careful what you wish for and you hunt for.
Thank you once again for everyone who stopped by tonight for another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on Star Fox Radio. If you do enjoy my content, please like, subscribe, comment, share it, and feed the algorithm. And until next time, lock your windows and doors.